Grok 4 is officially here, and the demos show major progress in reasoning, image understanding, and even code. Before we dive into where this could go, what are your top takeaways from the launch itself?
I think the launch was incredible, not just because of the capabilities of the platform, but mainly because of the pace. So everyone is still questioning to this day whether Elon can do what he says he's going to do. And I think that it's kind of ridiculous because at this point, why would anyone doubt him? Right? Because before, uh, everyone thought, okay, there's no way you can compete against rockets because you don't have rocket background, right? And then you can't compete against cars because you're not a car guy, you know? And then it's the same thing. If you have if you're years behind OpenAI because you were a co-founder and someone else built everything after you left, how can you catch up to OpenAI? And I think the main takeaway was, Elon putting a stake in the ground and saying, "Ha, I can catch up," and, all the naysayers were wrong.
Yes, so we've seen a lot of LLM announcements this year, but Elon keeps hinting that Grok is not just for chatting. What do you think makes Grok 4 so different from the rest of the LLMs out there at the moment?
Yeah, I think the really interesting thing that he pointed out was we are reaching the limit where they are running out of data. We know that the LLMs improve with each amount of data. So between Grok 3 and Grok 4, he showed that if you put a whole bunch more training data into it and a whole bunch more hardware, the results did improve a whole bunch. And it seems pretty no duh or common sense, but the implications are profound. If simply data and compute can create essentially superhuman results, being smarter than every PhD that's in the world, and it has like a knowledge of the world, it seems like magic, right? If simply data and compute is able to do that, and he's continuing to increase the compute, then what's next for LLMs? And eventually, OpenAI, Claude, everybody else is going to run out of data because the data that's in the human, world is going to run out. That has been written down. Then the only way to get that data is through real world experiences. And in order to do that, you would need, guess what? A robot. And essentially, if you have a humanoid robot that's interacting with the world, then suddenly you'll unlock the ability to gather more data than has been written into a digital format, and it'll start being able to learn from the real world. And OpenAI and all the other LLMs do not have that avenue for training.
With Grok 4's ability to understand videos, images, and natural language, could it finally give Optimus the brain it needs to scale? Could you walk us through what Grok plus Optimus enables?
Yeah, I think the really interesting thing is in the very beginning, LLMs were just text, right? So AI was just text, and you just had ChatGPT. Actually, before that, it was even before that. But basically, then ChatGPT got very interesting because you could include pictures, and then AI started to include videos, and now it's getting deeper and deeper into the real world. So, the thing about Optimus is that, and why it's so groundbreaking, is that robots have been around for a long time. Even the 70s, there have been robots, and people have always done these demos where robots will like fold laundry and they'll do all these things. But in the background, there were people with remote controls that were trying to mimic it so that it looks like it was folding laundry, so that you would think like the Jetsons that we would have someone that would help us in our day to day lives. But then decades went by because the main problem has not been like, can a robot move? That has not been the main problem. Essentially, the main problem was the brain. And what's very exciting about Optimus is that the brain is coming. It will be powered by FSD, and basically it will be able to do a lot of the tasks without a programmer saying, "Okay, move your finger this much, move this way in this person's house." Like suddenly, robots will become useful for the everyday human, and that's going to be a crazy unlock. When you combine that with the power of Grok and XAI, they just work quite well together in a synergistic way because Grok needs more real world data in order to improve. And then Optimus also can benefit from it. So if you can already talk to Grok and do speech and it replies back in a non-robotic voice, and then people just love using it, right? Then what's the implication of that? Basically, in the presentation, it said they were saying how the usage of voice in Grok went up 10x when they had a more natural voice, less latency, all these things, right? Well, if it's a pleasure to use Grok in a voice way, that means that it'll be a pleasure to use Optimus in a voice way. If you have an Optimus in your house and you're like, "Oh, it's very interesting. Oh, I can just talk to Optimus." It sounds like a human. It doesn't feel frustrating because it takes like 10 minutes to give a response every time, right? And I can actually hold a conversation. Well, then Optimus is actually gathering more data for XAI because there's more usage. It has more to learn from when the human says, "Oh, actually, don't put my dishes there, put it over there." And then at scale, it will understand so it doesn't have to get corrected by the human as much.
So you mentioned Grok becoming a brain of sorts. Do you think this is the beginning of Grok becoming a sort of AI operating system across Tesla, robotics, and even things like home use?
Yeah, I think that that is where it's going. So they don't have a quote unquote Google Home or an Amazon Alexa version of Grok at the moment. But that's so easy. Having like a speaker and a microphone in a device is easy. Like if they wanted to, they could. So that's not really the challenge or anything like that. But I think in terms of what Tesla wants to do is they want to be ubiquitous and throughout the whole ecosystem. And I think it is definitely just a matter of time. So they're focusing on the main thing, which is the brain, right? And then the final switch of making it ubiquitous, that's an easy problem in comparison to getting the brain right. And the really exciting thing about it, and with the Grok 4 announcement, is that they showed that they were able to win. They are on track to win. So for Elon, he knows what's at stake. Being second in the AI world is a world's difference from being first in the AI world because whoever is first essentially achieves AGI first, and AGI is the artificial general intelligence, and the smartest AI brain basically rules the world. It sounds very sci-fi, but we are living in a time where um, this is a real threat, and it's a real either good thing for humanity or bad thing for humanity, and that's why he's focusing with such fervor on XAI that we need the AI to win. We need XAI to win, and he wants XAI to win. So what does that mean for all the other products? Well, um, what that means is Tesla is going to have first dibs on this. Well, for sure, all the different products are going to have first dibs on this, and they all like are synergistic with each other. Like even within SpaceX, for example, the actuators and all this other stuff, like they had issues with like batteries, like within the Starship, which is the rocket ship, the latest rocket ship for SpaceX, and they just used some Tesla batteries, and it solved the problem, right? Even for XAI, no one thought that they can bring it up in months. It's nearly impossible because it's like a years long project to work with the city to get enough energy requirements to be able to support a data center. But then they just, he just called up Tesla and they put in a whole bunch of megapack batteries and essentially created a whole energy system like overnight and was able to spin up the data center. So each of Elon's companies are helping each other in different ways, and it's very exciting to see how they will all help each other. So Grok will help Optimus. Optimus will help Grok. Even in cars, FSD will be way better with Grok inside of it than without it. A lot of times, the the question to be answered is not simply it's not simply answered by looking at a picture. For example, I use FSD all the time, and sometimes it looks like a detour. But as a human, I know, oh, okay, there's a concert going on or something. Or I'm like, "Oh, everyone's blocked up right here because of this other thing." So if you just look at the picture, you don't know whether you should wait and it's just a stop sign, or it's because of a concert, or there's something going on with the weather, or something weird, or like, people think aliens are coming or something, right? So you can't tell from the picture. So then so FSD is like kind of limited in that way. But then sometimes a human just unblocks it, says, "Okay, let's go around. Let's do this." They have a reasoning process. Now, if you combine that reasoning process of Grok with that, then these interventions that happen in FSD, how many of them would actually happen? They are actually testing out, okay, how many times does an operator have to step in? How do they unblock the car? Oh, they unblock the car by telling it, oh, just go around or just do this, just do that, right? But what if the brain, XAI, Grok, can give those commands. Oh, just go around, or the person wants to, park on this thing in order to get out easier, or whatever, right? If that instruction can be given through Grok, then you no longer need human operators for full self driving, and then you get the final piece of the puzzle, even for full self driving.
So, Tad, you come from a very technical background. I think you appreciate some of the breakthroughs here more than other people. So, with that in mind, what do you think is the most underappreciated part of the Grok 4 release that most people aren't actually talking about?
Yeah, I think the real thing is people do not realize the moat that Elon's companies have and the ecosystem that is built in here. You know, basically, most people on Wall Street and different things, they only view it from one step ahead, right? So when they look at Grok, they only look at between Grok and OpenAI, and they're just like, oh, they don't seem that much ahead. They're only 20% ahead, like whatever, right? Same thing with full self driving. They just think like, oh, they're not that ahead. There's Waymo and all that stuff, but they don't think of all the implications, right? It's like, okay, say FSD turns on and it actually is fine, right? And it actually beats every other human in driving. Then the day that happens, um, even if Waymo has operating cars in those cities, what's actually going to happen? Well, what's going to happen is whichever car is cheapest to run is going to win. Then if you look at Waymo, even if they're perfect at driving, which they're not, but even if they were, they will not win because they're gas cars, you know? And if they're gas cars, like, okay, what do they have to do? They have to create an electric car company, you know? After they create an electric car company, what do they have to do? They have to be more efficient than Tesla. But guess what? Elon already thought about that. Now it's efficient. So then the price per mile is still going to be cheaper for Tesla than Waymo. And there's like all these second order, third order, fifth order effects that go on downstream that people only realize after they hit that step. But Elon has already thought about that many, many, many steps ahead. So there are so many reasons why Tesla will win the full self-driving race, but there's also so many reasons for each of these different endeavors. You cannot win essentially, or it'll be very hard to go up against Elon. So, for example, with Optimus, the robot, you can think, oh, anyone can create the robot. Well, how can you compete against Elon? Because you'll have to essentially have a electric car company in order to have world class people on actuators and motors, and electric. It has to be electric. You know, whatever the robot is, you can't have dangerous hydraulics. Has to be electric robot. Then okay, what do you need? How do you get world class like pieces when none of the companies are making these pieces? Well, you need an electric car company. And it just keeps going on and on and on. Like there's so many reasons why Tesla is situated to be a leader in humanoid robots compared to other companies. But then only when you go down the rabbit hole do you realize why they have such a big advantage. In the same way with Grok, people think that, oh, it's just the same. The only reason you're winning is that you have more compute than other people, but they don't realize that there's a lot more reasons than that. Because what's the next thing that's going to block everybody? It's going to be the real world data. Well, okay, in order to get real world data, OpenAI and everybody else is going to realize, oh, we need a humanoid robot. Okay, how do we create a humanoid robot at scale? You need an electric car company. So it basically goes like deeper and deeper down the rabbit hole, and it's just so fascinating to see how deep the moat is and how interconnected the ecosystem is. And I think that's the really underappreciated part about Grok is that it's within the Elon ecosystem.